Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. This has been quite the week for most of us in the US and Canada, and in many places we're listening, as we've had our first major winter storm in a very long time in many parts of the country. Those of you in Texas, I know it's hard, and I promise I'm not going to make fun of you in any way because I know that you guys simply are not prepared to deal with these temperatures and the snow, and I have friends in the gas industry who are telling me about how the power is a vicious circle. I am truly sorry for those of you down there. However, those of you who are in vans are actually better off than those of you in houses right now. So good for you. You made the right choice when you decided to get a van. That said, let's talk about winter in vans. Now, I know I've had a couple of episodes where I've talked about things like winterizing the van, but let's talk about if you suddenly find yourself in wintry conditions in your van. What should you do? Well, first thing, as they say about just about everything in life, don't panic. Doesn't matter if you've never driven in the snow before, doesn't matter if you have no insulation. Don't panic. It's just snow. People driving it all the time. There are some things to do to make yourself safer, but it isn't going to kill you unless you do something that is unwise. So, first thing about snow, you have to learn how to not get stuck. Now, I don't care if you've got four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, whatever. There's one thing about snow and ice that you absolutely have to keep in mind at all times, and that is you can't stop. Never mind about going. The important part about driving in the snow is realizing that you can't stop. Everybody focuses on snow tires and all-terrain tires, and I got these big gnarly tires and I can go through anything. That's all fine and good, but the fact of the matter is you can't stop. And all of the accidents and a lot of the getting stuck that people do in the winter comes because they forget that fact. Every single time we get a snowstorm like this, I'll head out and I will see somebody in their four-wheel drive vehicle bombing down the highway with a big smile on their face like, I got a four-wheel drive vehicle. I don't have to worry about this snow. Yes, you do, because it's not the going that's the problem. It's the stopping. So if you don't take anything else away from this episode, please remember that. Knowing that you can't stop informs the rest of your driving. You drive slower. You drive with a plan. You are always attentive. And it's probably a good idea to turn the radio off. You stay in your lane as much as you can. I know with this storm it was difficult to find your lane. You leave your turn signal on for extra time to let people know where you're going to go so they can react. You leave more space between you and the car in front of you. A lot more. Of course, that can be a problem because some of these yahoos who don't know how to drive in the snow will sneak right in that space, and then you're in a situation where you have to slam on your brakes, which isn't going to do anything. Now, if you are in a situation where you step on your brakes and you start sliding, if you are in a newer vehicle, that is a vehicle after about, no, I would say 1990, a vehicle that has anti-lock brakes, ABS, what you want to do is hold on the brake pedal and don't pump it, don't take your foot off, hold on the brake pedal and steer. The anti-lock braking system is working to make it so that your vehicle stays under control and will stop in the minimum distance possible. If you have an older vehicle, you can follow the old advice, which was to pump your brakes, because what happens is your wheels will lock up. And then they become skis, and they're not going to help you slow down at all. What pumping the brakes does is actually the same thing that ABS does. Just ABS does it a lot more efficiently. It pulses the brakes so that your wheels get a little bit of grip and then let go, a little bit of grip and then let go. So they never get into that state where they're sliding and turning into skis. But remember to steer. There's nothing you can do to slow that vehicle down more, so remember to steer. That is your job. Now, there's another trick that, if you're not familiar with this, is a huge one. And I know folks in Illinois typically aren't familiar with this because they don't live in... there's no hills in Illinois. This is also a way to go slowly down hills, and that is to downshift. So if you have an automatic transmission, or if you have a manual transmission, you'll notice that there's more than one gear. There's drive, which most of us use most of the time, and then you've got 2, 3, 1, or some combination thereof. Well, those lower gears have a purpose, and one of those purposes is to help you slow down without stepping on the brakes. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, just for the reason I stated. If you want to slow down in slippery conditions, you can downshift from, say, drive to 3, and the engine will slow your wheels down, but it won't ever stop them. You won't get into that state where your wheels are skidding and have turned into skis. Okay, so it's a very good skill to learn how to downshift to slow yourself down. It's also helpful if you're on the highway and cars are a little bit close together. You can slow down by downshifting, and that won't put on your brake lights, which can cause somebody to panic behind you. Now, keep in mind, you are going to slow down, and that person might be getting closer, so you do have to let them know if they're in danger of hitting you. But if you're in a situation where you want to just slow down a little bit, you can go ahead and downshift. Or, in some cars, such as my NV200, there's an overdrive button. If you turn off overdrive, it has the same effect as downshifting, and it's a real easy way to kind of slow the vehicle down without stepping on the brakes. So that's an option you have too. If you have paddle shifters, you can use those, whatever. You figure out how your car works. Just know that that's what downshifting is for. It's to slow your vehicle down using the engine rather than the brakes. And of course, this works on long hills too. If you're driving through Cumberland, Maryland, and going over that huge hill, you do not want to ride the brakes all the way down, especially in slippery conditions. Make sure you learn how to downshift. Now, where can you learn how to do things like this? Well, I say do what I did. Go find an empty parking lot, and there should be plenty of them around with all the malls and Sears and Kmart's going out of business. Make sure it's got some snow on it, and then do all the stupid things. Drive fast, slam on the brakes, do donuts, shift, learn how your car works under all those slippery conditions. It honestly works. You get a feel for these things, and you're going to be much less likely to get stuck. Okay, let's say you didn't follow my advice, or something bad happens. I mean, the most perfect drivers in the world get into trouble, and you find yourself stuck. All right, let's say you're just simple stuck. That is, that your wheels don't have any traction and they're spinning and you can't move. Okay, first thing to know is that often rocking your vehicle will get you out of a rut. Like, let's say your wheels are in a rut. You want to rock the vehicle. That is, you put it in drive, go forward as far as it will go, and then very quickly put it in reverse and go back as far as it'll go, and then drive, and keep rocking like that. What you're going to do is build up momentum, and that momentum doesn't care if you're in a rut or not. It's going to push your van like an invisible hand, and boom, out you go. Now, it is a little hard on the transmission. You want to be gentle doing this, but it is a time-honored way to get yourself unstuck, and I have actually done it many, many times. One thing you don't want to do is spin your wheels. If you step on the gas and you look and your speedometer is up to 40 miles an hour, but you're not moving, you're doing no good things for your van. You're wearing out your tires, you are possibly making some internal parts hotter than they should be, and you're also digging a deeper hole, which is the last thing you want. So that is not a solution. So then what you can try to do is get increased traction. Now, you may have heard of kitty litter for this. Kitty litter is great for this. In fact, if you have a sock full of kitty litter, it will also help with your condensation. So this is everything in your van is supposed to do two things. Kitty litter can do two things. Keep a sock or two filled with kitty litter on your dashboard, and then when you get stuck, if you get stuck, spread the kitty litter in front of your drive tires. Now, if you're rear-wheel drive, that means the rear wheels. If you're front-wheel drive, that means the front wheels. And maybe that will give you enough traction to get going. But you want to go very gently. Just get the wheels to turn slightly so that they grip, and then go out very gently. And then once you're out, keep going. Don't slow down. Don't stop until you're in a place where you know you're good to drive. A lot of people will get stuck and then start to move out a little bit, and then they're like, yay, and then they stop, and then they're stuck again. You don't want that. Other ways to get traction if you don't have kitty litter is you can try to use your floor mats. Your floor mats will generally have little nubbies on the bottom that add traction. You want to turn them upside down so that the nubbies are on the tire part. That usually works better. You can try it both ways. And if you're lucky, that will grab on and let you go forward. A lot of the times what I've seen is that the wheels just spit them out the back and it doesn't help all that much, but it's worth giving it a try. If you're in a situation where you're going to be in the snow a lot, like you like to go winter camping or skiing or something like that, get yourself a traction board. Actually, get two. These are commercially made plastic boards. They look like small sleds actually, and they can get you out of all kinds of things. They're even if you're high centered, which we'll talk about in a bit, they are well worth having. They cost about $200, but that may seem like a lot, but that isn't that much when you consider your only other option is to going to get towed and wait for hours. So that's a good thing to do. Now, if you're in a lucky situation where you have somebody with you who can help push, that can help a lot. But you want to push in conjunction with the rocking motion. And when people push, make sure they're pushing on something solid. A lot of people get their taillights broken or get big dents in the back door when people push. And be careful, it's a little bit dangerous. They can slip. So whenever anybody is going to help you push, make sure you have your windows rolled down so you can hear them yell if need be. Or you can even open the back door of the van if that'll help. But be careful of that. And then there's towing. If you happen to be driving with another vehicle and they have a tow strap, yeah, they can tow you out, and hopefully they know how to do it. It's a little bit tricky. There's a technique for towing. I should probably cover that in another episode, but make sure they know what they're doing. Don't just like drive real fast and yank the car. That's a bad thing. Or you can hire a tow truck and let them do it, but that's going to cost you money, obviously. And on nights where it has been like it has been, tow trucks aren't coming. They're out there they're going to be busy. They're just not going to come. Now, there's a type of being stuck that is very difficult to deal with, and that's when you're high-centered. Now, we usually talk about being high-centered when we're off-roading in the desert, but in this case, we can talk about being high-centered in the snow, because that's a real easy situation to get into. If the snow is deeper than your ground clearance, that means the bottom of your car is actually dragging in the snow. And if that snow gets deeper, it can actually push your van up so much that the wheels don't make contact with the ground anymore. And then you're in trouble. At that point, you have to dig or wait for the snow to melt. You can have that option too. Yes, somebody can tow you out if they have a really good towing rig, but you're not going to be able to push yourself out of that, and you're not going to be able to rock yourself out of it. The only thing you can do is dig your way home. Now, because of that, I recommend everyone have a shovel in their van at all times. I have an e-tool in mine. That's an entrenching tool. It's one of those military-style folding shovels. It'll take a while to dig out, but that kind of a shovel will dig through ice or mud or snow, and it's very versatile. Like you can make it into exactly the shape you want. So I recommend those. They're not very expensive. I'll have a link in the show notes if you don't know what I'm talking about with the e-tool. But if you don't have a shovel, you still have to dig. So what do you dig with? Well, you can dig with a hubcap. You can dig with a cutting board. You can dig with a bowl. There's all kinds of things you can dig with. Remember, you are stuck. You are in a bad situation. You can risk breaking something to help get you out of there. If you're going to break a hubcap or a wheel cover, fine, break it. If it gets you out of there, it's worth it. Now, let's say you're stuck and you can't get out. Well, congratulations! You are in the best possible vehicle to be stuck in. You're home. You've got heat, you've got water, you've got a bed, you've got food. You've just found your camping spot for the night. I recommend you make the best of it. Have fun. It is what it is. You're not going to be able to do much about it until help comes or whatever. Obviously, you got to figure that part out. But there are a few things to worry about in the winter that you may not have thought of, especially if you're, say, from Texas and you didn't grow up in this kind of weather and this is all new to you. This is very, very important. Make sure that your tailpipe is completely clear. Dig a big hole around the tailpipe, because if that gets blocked up even a little bit, the gases can go back under your van and then into your van, and you can die without even knowing it. Remember, carbon monoxide is the gas that kills you without waking you up. It is bad news, and it can get in your van in ways that you won't even know. It has no smell. You want to make sure you dig a big hole around your exhaust and make sure that the exhaust goes outside, away from your van. Make sure you can actually see the exhaust leaving your van and going into the air at large. The same is true if you have a diesel heater. Chinese diesel heaters, Eberspacher's, whatever kind of diesel heater you have, They have two pipes outside the van in most typical installations. One is the exhaust and the other is the air intake. Make sure both of those are completely clear. And that might not be easy if you're stuck in the snow, depending on how you installed it. If those pipes are in the middle of the van and you're high centered in snow, you might not be able to use your diesel heater safely. While those gases typically won't get into your van if you've properly installed it, the diesel heater simply won't work unless it can get clean air in and let the exhaust out. And that exhaust can sneak into the van through, say, your slam vents or a loose door seal or something like that. So make sure, just like with the other exhaust, the diesel heater exhaust is going out into the air at large. And the last thing I'm going to mention, and I just noticed this myself, which is that if you have a white cargo van like I do with no windows, they're really hard to see in the snow. I was just out in the woods with mine yesterday, and it just disappeared. It was like the perfect camouflage for snow. Imagine that. So make sure that if you get stuck on a roadway, that you maintain visibility. Put something out there that isn't white that people can see so they know that your van is there. And I'm going to do a product review of something that actually might help with that. So, winter is a wonderful thing. I love it. It can get in my way sometimes, but so can summer heat or the fall. Actually, I can't think of any way the fall can do it, but let's pretend it could. Try to have some fun, don't panic, and learn a few tricks to help you get through it.